Hey everyone, welcome back to a new coffee break here on my channel Firm Learning. My name is Heinrich and on Firm Learning I want to help you to become successful in the first years of your career. And today I want to talk about how to build a personal brand, how to build an influence on LinkedIn. I will first talk about why you as a young professional should do that and why LinkedIn is the perfect platform for it at this point in time. I will second spill the tea on how the LinkedIn algorithm works to help you go viral. I will third give you some tangible tips on profile optimization to become a creator. And last but not least, I will share some tips on how to build a content strategy that will work towards your goals. But before, I just want to spend a couple of seconds talking about why I'm actually justified to even talk about this topic. So for those of you who don't know me, I started my social platform Firm Learning in early 2020, started mainly on YouTube, but then also growing on other platforms such as Instagram and TikTok. And LinkedIn for sure has been a priority for me. At the moment, I'm posting quite regularly, about 3 to 5 times per week, and this enabled me to grow quite rapidly over the last months. And I will teach you in this video the very strategy that I use and the insights that I collected on the way while doing it. So let's start by talking about why it might be a good idea for yourself to build a personal brand and an influence on LinkedIn. And let's first assume the position of someone who is already a senior leader in an organization, maybe a C-level executive working somewhere. Why might you be interested in LinkedIn? I think there are 3 reasons for that. First, employee recruiting. So if an employee wants to find a new job, that person would likely look up the firm on LinkedIn. And of course, if you publish regular content, that will be very instrumental for potential candidates to decide whether your firm is the firm to join or not. Second is corporate communications. I would claim that for most companies out there, if their leadership would post on LinkedIn compared to on internal channels, for instance, a corporate intranet, likely they would be able to reach more of their internal staff on LinkedIn. Likely their posts would be seen more. So I do think that LinkedIn is a crucial tool for corporate communication as well. And then last but not least, of course, also lead generation. There are lots of examples how people are able to create customers, attract business by using LinkedIn in the right way. This is a significant opportunity and I will teach you how you can do this today. But even if you're a young professional, not necessarily in such a leadership position yet, if you use LinkedIn, you can build your personal brand, you can build an influence, and with that you have all the benefits of being a creator. The benefits of being a creator in this day and age have been well described elsewhere. Let's just say that the opportunities for yourself, both in terms of personal growth, but also in terms of financial or career opportunities, are very, very significant. So why should you focus on LinkedIn if you want to build a professional brand at the moment? And there are many things I could talk about. Let me focus on reach for the purpose of this video. At the moment, even if you are still a small account, you have the opportunity to reach a significant amount of people on LinkedIn. And this might change over the next years, maybe, maybe not, but at the moment that's for sure the case. And let's compare that to another platform, for instance, Facebook. So let's say you have a Facebook profile with 1,000 followers. Well, if you release a post without boosting it with ads, likely only a fraction of these followers will see that. Let's just say roughly 5%. So for 1,000 followers, maybe your post on average will get about 50 views, just a fraction of your audience. This is very different right now on LinkedIn. If you have 1,000 followers, you can expect that your posts will be seen by 2,000 people. So you can expect that a multiple of your followers will regularly see your content, and this is of course a very great and significant opportunity, and there are only very few platforms at the moment out there that will give you a comparable reach. Let's now substantiate this with some actual numbers, and for that I prepared some data from my own account Heinrich that I also use for my From Learning work. This was data pulled until the end of the first half of this year. At that point in time I had about 18,000 followers, and if I just took the median post of all the posts that I created, the median post got about 30,000 views, which is roughly 2 times the followers that I had at that time. But there was also a post that received 188,000 views at that point in time, so this is 10x the followers that I had. So this illustrates the opportunities that are out there, and I will talk more about how to write exactly these types of posts in a moment. The second question that I often get is whether I should post on my company page if you have one, or on your personal profile. Well, if you're just an individual, chances are are high, you only have your personal profile available anyways. But the good news is that LinkedIn favors personal profiles over company pages when it comes to reach. And of course, the reasons for that are, I'd say, rather obvious. Of course, LinkedIn would love that the companies rather pay ad money to boost their posts, whereas that's not that much of an option for personal individuals. But here, just as an example, the case of Volkswagen. So Volkswagen AG, the company Volkswagen, has about 1.2 million followers, and I just picked a post of them that just got a couple of hundred likes. And if you contrast that to Herbert Diess, who until recently at least was the managing director of Volkswagen, even though he had less than 300,000 views, his posts regularly get over 1,000 likes. And of course, there's some variance among these posts, but this is the general picture that you see almost everywhere. Personal profiles definitely get more reach than company profiles on LinkedIn, so I definitely would encourage you to use your personal profile as well. And last but not least, it seems very clear to me that the development of LinkedIn into an influencer and creator platform is a key strategic objective of LinkedIn. They're actively pushing it. You can see it with all the initiatives that the company is coming up with. For instance, the Top Voices Award that now they award on a yearly basis. If you ever felt like you wanted to build an influence on Instagram, on YouTube, or any of these other platforms, but you were just too late, now is your opportunity with LinkedIn. Because if you start now, you will definitely be still early in the development of LinkedIn as a creator platform. The opportunities are out there, you just need to grab them. So let's next talk about the LinkedIn algorithm and why should you even care about how the LinkedIn algorithm works. But then here again, I just looked at some of my own personal data on my Heinrich profile. This is again the data from the first half year of this year. And I just ordered all the posts by the views that they received. And you can see that there's quite a significant variance. On the left-hand side, there are some posts that got less than 10,000 views. Again, let me remind you, I had about 18,000 followers at that point in time. But then on the right-hand side, I had a handful of posts that exceeded 100,000 views. And my most successful post measured in views received, as I just also told you earlier, about 188,000 views. And of course, views matters, because if people don't see your content, you cannot really spread the messages that you want to spread. You cannot really work towards the goals and objectives that you set for yourself in the beginning. And of course, if people don't find your posts, they also cannot find your profile, and therefore you also cannot grow your follower base and your audience. So let's look at how the LinkedIn algorithm works behind the scenes. And this is very similar to almost all the other social media platform algorithms work as well. And I can imagine this to work is that at the beginning, if you post something, LinkedIn in the first minutes, hours, and so on will show this post to a fraction of your audience, to a fraction of your followers, or to a fraction of the people who usually enjoy the content that you create. And then they observe what happens. Are these people spending time on the post? Are they engaging with the post? Are they leaving a comment? So they have all these types of indicators that let the algorithm come to the conclusion whether this is a good post or not. And so if this post performed well in this very close group of your most engaged followers, then LinkedIn will likely show this post to an extended group of your followers, to almost every one of your followers. And we'll look again, how is it performing? Is this performing well or not? And again, if even with this extended group, LinkedIn comes to the conclusion that yes, it's a good post, then likely it will show this post to even more people. Often also not even your followers anymore, but maybe people who LinkedIn believes to have similar interests than the people who follow you, people who are similar to your followers. And then again, it will gauge interest. Are they interested? Are they engaging? Are they enjoying the post? And then based on that, step by step, LinkedIn will show the post to even more people, up until the point where LinkedIn just doesn't find any pockets of people anymore where the LinkedIn algorithm would be confident that these people would enjoy your post as well. And of course, sometimes there are these unicorn posts where the algorithm comes to the conclusion that actually more or less everyone would enjoy it, more or less everyone likes it. And then sometimes you have these super viral posts that are seen by hundreds, thousands, if not millions of people. It's of course very difficult to predict to write something like this, but okay. occasionally this might happen to you. So what exactly are these signals that the algorithm takes into consideration? And what's here important for me to say is though that I don't have any inside knowledge, behind the scene knowledge of how the algorithm works. The algorithm is first of all secret, and second, it constantly changes. What these are just some common assumptions where people tested things, and this is what you will find on many places on the internet, that this is how it works. But it's definitely fair for yourself to run your own experiment to see what really benefits your specific account. So let's talk about some positive signals. First, one of the most important things is time on post. One of the key metrics that all these platforms are optimizing is to keep users on the platform for as long as possible, because of course the longer people spend on the platform, the more ads can be shown to these people, and this is usually one of the biggest monetization levers that the platforms have. So time on post is key. But then of course, sharing a post is a positive as well, because if you share a post to your network, you're saying that, hey, this post is great, it's important, it's worth seeing and worth reading. Next, commenting. So LinkedIn wants to build a platform where people engage with each other, have conversations about topics, and comments definitely work towards this goal. It's a key metric of engagement. Next, sending a post. You can send a post to other users, to other people. This is a positive sign, of course, as well, because thereby you indicate that it's worth sending and sharing. Of course, if people follow your profile after they read your post, this speaks towards the post as well. And of course, liking a post, also liking other comments, will increase engagement in the same way. And then of course, there are negative signals as well. So of course, a big negative signal is already if these positive signals don't exist, aren't out there. But then surely if people hide the posts, so tell the platform that they don't want to see content like this is very negative. If they unfollow you after they read something from you, if they mute the post from you, also if they report the post that you created, these are of course negative signals from the algorithm. And if so far you received any value from this video, please hit the like button for the algorithm, and also follow or subscribe to stay up to date on all my content. I will talk more about this going forward, so would love you to stay on board here. Next, let's talk about some little tips what you can do to improve your profile, especially with the goal of becoming a creator. And first of all, I would encourage you to use a background picture. Many profiles still don't use background pictures, but if someone visits your profile the first time, for instance, after having seen a post in their feed, the background picture is what really gives your profile character. And you can use it to directly brand yourself. Make sure that the key messages are transported, make sure that people directly understand what you are all about, what they can expect if they follow you. Next is the tagline. So the tagline is the line that is displayed below your name. The tagline is very important because it's shown across many places on the platform. So usually whenever you write a post, below your name there will also be the tagline present. So this gives the first impression. What is your background? What are you all about? Why should people be interested in yourself? So make it as concise and as punchy as possible and avoid using too many words. Next are hashtags. So if you turn on the creator mode, I will show you what this is in a moment. You have the opportunity to add hashtags like this on your profile. This again helps the algorithm to understand what the niches that you're talking about, what topics you are focusing on. This is also called your authority, and it will also help the LinkedIn search to place you in the appropriate search results for this. Last but not least, make use of the featured section. So LinkedIn provides you with a section where you can hand select certain posts that you feel like very well represent what's going on your page, what you're doing, what you're writing about, the signature pieces of content that you created in the past. Make use of that, because again, this is the ideal place to give the first impression to people who are new to your personal brand, who are new to your profile, to understand what you're all about. Let's now also talk about the creator mode. On your profile, you should find the option to turn on the creator mode. This will give you access to some additional features that are very relevant to creators. So I would definitely recommend you to do that. For instance, you have access to these hashtags that I showed you a moment ago. And another thing that automatically happens if you turn on the creator mode is that the main call to action on your profile changes from connect to follow. So usually on standard profiles, people see the connect button. So people can connect with the person, but then of course the other person needs to accept this connection request as well. Follow means that the people want to see your content, want to see your posts, but the other person doesn't need to approve that. So the hurdles are lower. People are not afraid that maybe you won't accept them. So if you change the call to action to follow, this will enable and encourage more people to follow you and thereby for you to grow your audience. Of course, people can still connect with you, but this will not be the main call to action displayed on your profile anymore. Let's now talk about the content strategy. And in this section, I want to talk about some tips, some advice, some little tactics and hacks that you can use to really create the best possible content for the platform and maximize your chances to eventually create some content pieces that will also go viral and thereby blow up your account. And what's important in the very beginning is that you should think about a niche, a topic that you want to stand for. So if people think about you, what do they want to have in mind? What are the key topics that you want to associate yourself with? So this is called your niche. And this should be rather specific. You don't necessarily from the very first day need to have a very tangible first niche in mind. I think it's also fair just to start with more generic content and then over time converge towards a niche. But in the medium term, you should develop this for yourself. Because think about it. If you follow someone, why are you following a profile? Because you want to read more of this type of content. But if the content of a person is all over the place, changes all the time, why should someone follow you? So think about your niche first, and then from your niche, you can then derive the content pieces that you want to create. And let's now start by talking about the anatomy of a successful post on LinkedIn. And let's start with the hook. The post should always start with a hook. So these are often 1 or 2 sentences that just spark interest, create interest, let people want to read more about the post. Let's remember that time on post is one of the most important indicators for the LinkedIn algorithm. So you want to excite people, you want to motivate people to read all the posts because this is what will get you time on post. After the hook, there's the body. And in this body, in the main part of your post, you should always focus on communicating value, on communicating some insights, things that other people can take away, can learn from what you're writing about. This is at least the rule of thumb. You might occasionally deviate from that, but the majority of your posts should be based on this framework. What many people do wrong is that they write posts completely self-centered, just about themselves, about their business, all the great things that they did in the past. That's boring. People don't want to read them. Make it about the value that you can deliver to the other person. Next, around the end of the post, end with a call to action. So ask people to do something. Here's also fair to vary these call to actions over time. Maybe encourage people to leave a comment, because this of course sparks engagement. Or you can encourage people to follow your page if they want to read more about this specific type of content, right? So leave a call to action, encourage people to do something, because again, this will also favor you in the algorithm. Now, I don't want to talk about hashtags too much here in this video. I trust you're all familiar with them from other platforms. The last thing that I want to talk about is that it's quite striking that at least at the moment in the LinkedIn algorithm, posts that have an attachment, so some type of picture for instance, or a slideshow, video, anything like that, they tend to perform significantly better in the LinkedIn algorithm. So I just looked at my top 10 best performing posts, and 8 of these top 10 best performing posts had some type of picture attached to them. So in general, I would recommend you to always use a picture. If you struggle to come up with a picture that really meets the message of the post, what many people do is just include a random picture of themselves, and they just attach such a picture of themselves to the post. I tried this out myself and I can just only say it works. It significantly improves the reach of your content. So let's now deep dive on the hook. So on the first sentences that you leave on your post. Here what you need to understand that after a couple of lines, there is the so-called fold. So LinkedIn only shows the beginning of the post, and after a couple of lines, then it just says see more. And people need to click on see more to see the remainder of the post. So here what's important is that you're able to place the full hook before the fold. Make sure the full hook is seen before then this fold arrives. And the good thing is that where this fold is placed is predictable. And it depends on whether there is an attachment to the post or not. And if you follow the recommendation that I just gave you a moment ago, you will almost always have such an attachment attached to the post. And if this is the case, then this fold appears after 3 lines of content. So you see this here in the left example, 3 lines and then the fold appears. And if there's no attachment, this fold appears after 5 lines. So here in the example to the right, you see 4 lines of text, but then there's also an empty line. An empty line, this counts as well. So after 5 lines, then there will be the fold. So of course, with your hook, you want to encourage people to click on see more. So maybe you are ending with a question in the hook that then you are answering in the remainder of the post. Or maybe you make a rather controversial statement that then you explain in the remainder of the post. So encourage people to click on see more, because of course, just the fact alone that people click on see more is in itself already a positive sign to the algorithm that people find this post interesting and they want to learn more about it. Let's now talk about another little hack that you can do in your content strategy to boost the reach of your posts. And this is occasionally creating posts that really focus on boosting engagement, focus on getting as much engagement as possible. And one type of post that is well suited to do that are surveys. So here in this example, you can see that I created a survey. It got about 40,000 impressions or 40,000 views, and there were about 2,000 people who participated in the survey, who clicked on an option in the survey. So 2,000 people is quite a lot for a post of myself. So you can often see that surveys get quite a lot of engagement like this. And the good thing is, if a person interacted with your content in this way, even though this person did not necessarily follow you, then this person is more likely to in the future see posts that you created, that you wrote, because LinkedIn now thinks that, hey, this person might be interested in your content. So I would not encourage you to always only create posts like this, because the truth is also only because someone participated in a survey doesn't necessarily mean that that person is really interested in your content, doesn't necessarily mean that now the person will go to your profile and follow you, but occasional posts like this can help to increase your engagement, increase your views in the medium term. Just one word of caution, in the past, also earlier this year, LinkedIn was quite swamped with posts where people were doing surveys, not with the survey tool, which I think is also rather new on LinkedIn, but rather by abusing the different types of like buttons. So you could participate in the survey by clicking the like button or the insightful like button or the laughed like button and so on, and using that as a survey. And by that, of course, getting lots of engagement. So recently, I've not really seen any of these types of posts anymore on my timeline. So I think here, this is an example of how LinkedIn adjusted the algorithm to now punish these types of posts, which is why at the moment I would not recommend you to create this type of content. So let's now talk about another strategy for your content, and this is the build in public strategy. Maybe you've already heard about it. There was quite a lot of buzz around it. And the main idea is this is especially suitable for maybe entrepreneurs or anyone in a leadership position, that you just talk about what you're building, about the company, the organization that you're building, and just regularly share some insights on that. Maybe once per week, you share your biggest learnings of the last week or the biggest achievements, what you learned from them, maybe also some failures, what you learned from that. So this is just a strategy where you can really lift the curtains, let people into your business and provide value down the road. This can of course help to create trust with potential employees, with potential customers. This is a great strategy to create new leads. I'm just showing you here an example of a gentleman. So for full disclosure, I don't know this gentleman. I also don't want to endorse any of his content or his activities. I just thought this was a nice example of where someone is doing exactly that. There are many other examples out there. So let's now talk about some typical mistakes that many people are doing. And here I'm now referencing this book from the great Gary Vaynerchuk, Jab, 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 Right Hook. Maybe some of you have seen it. And the big notion of this book is that if you want to be successful in social media, in the world out there, rather focus on the jabs and be rather measured in your use of right hooks. And in this picture, the jab is a piece of content, a post that focuses on delivering value for the audience. Whereas the right hook is the message where you have some type of commercial interest. Maybe you want someone to become a customer of yourself. And as the title already says, jab, 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 right hook, right? So for every right hook, for every commercial message, make sure that there's a good number of really value creating messages before that. Or to say it differently, your profile should not look like a big advertisement. And this is frankly what I sometimes see people also do wrong with this build in public strategy, where they just talk about how great their organization is, how great their company is. This is not what people want to read all the time. In your content, focus on delivering value for others. And if you do that consistently, consistently, then people will very much understand if you occasionally also place this right hook with your own commercial interest. Let's now talk about sharing other posts. And in principle, there's nothing wrong with that. You just need to be aware that how the system, the algorithm works is that if you share another post, that mainly helps the reach of the other post. So the other post will then often be shown to more people, potentially also to more people in your audience. Though the post that you yourself create by sharing another post, potentially also with some comments, this post in itself will often only get a fraction of the views than such a post would usually get. So sharing other posts is great for the post that you're sharing, but often doesn't help you if you want to create a post yourself that gets lots of reach, lots of views. So depending on your goals, you might still want to share the other post to support it, or you just decide to create a new post by yourself that picks up some of the main messages and then has higher chances to get the reach. Let's now also talk about linking external resources. For instance, adding a link to another website to your post. And here the truth is also that this is very bad for the reach of your posts. I've recently seen an analysis of another person with the conclusion that posts with external links receive on average only 1/6 of the reach of a post without external links. And the reason for that I think is also quite obvious. Of course, LinkedIn likes to keep people on the platform. LinkedIn doesn't like to leave people from the platform, which is why they are punishing posts that have these external links. So my advice would be that if you do want to link to an external page, don't put the link in the original post, but rather put the link in the comments. And then you can write in the post something like, okay, link to the page in the comments. And this will then to some extent bypass this reach penalty that LinkedIn otherwise would put on your post. But now I would love to hear from you. Do you have any other LinkedIn strategies and tips to share? Leave a comment here in the comment section. I'd love to get all your insights and learn from you as well. Again, if you enjoyed it or took any value from it, please hit the like button for the algorithm and also subscribe and follow to stay up to date on all the content. Big thanks to all the members of From Learning as well. Thank you for your support. My name is Heinrich. I'm the creator of From Learning. Talk to you again soon.